we're not going to be able to see ourselves.
No, we are. I just want to make sure it's online. Yep, we are definitely online.
Nice.
So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? I'm probably going to have to say that all over again when people start arriving, but we're back!
Hey guys!
What's up?
First stream for 2019 and it's only March. What happened, Hannah? What happened?
We needed the motivation from Simon.
I know. What made you come out here today, Simon?
Thank you.
I know we got the thing on Thursday, so it was probably practice for that.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan, Jade, of course. And I love meeting my idols and making sure that they are who they are on stream. And yeah, he's 100% authentic.
I'm not entirely authentic because I don't normally show my gut on stream, but there it is. And you know, we've never had a guest as well. That's what Hannah was reminding me this afternoon. We've never had a guest, so I'm not sure how this is gonna go at all.
Well, we'll let the people decide, and if I get voted off the island, so be it.
Good point.
But we're gonna try keep it positive and keep it amped and stuff like that, but we do have a fair bit to talk about today. And while people are filing into the room, I guess, should we start with some high level reflections of how we're all feeling after the weekend? I mean, for me, I'm still really processing what happened. I've been in real fact absorption mode. And, you know, I've seen a few posts on social media, particularly Facebook, saying, you know, we don't want to get too absorbed in the facts, but I think facts are critically important right now, because this is not something that happens on the regular for New Zealand.
Not at all. No.
It's a bit overwhelming, and it's hard to believe what actually happened. You know, of course we know the numbers, but it actually happened here in New Zealand. You know, that fact. If anything, you think it'd be happening somewhere like in a bigger country like America or somewhere else. So it's just yeah. So
I suppose for me at the moment it's like emotional shell shock. Still like Jade, still processing everything. It's you almost just want to be in the denial stage of just not believing it's true and trying to force yourself to understand and accept that it happened, and we're now having to adjust in a world where terror is something that happens across the globe. Nowhere is safe. The only thing that can keep us safe is to love each other and to practice, I suppose, empathy and understanding for people who may on the surface look different to you.
Well, here's the point that I really want to draw out, and I only learned this very recently actually. The dude that did it isn't even a New Zealander. Now for that, I feel so grateful, right? He's not even a New Zealander. He's an Australian that was over here for a bit. He's not even one of us. I don't even think like he was a citizen necessarily. I mean, Australia has a different visa relationship with us than most places. But he's not a New Zealander.
I think what I was hearing too is from a colleague of yours this morning, Jade, is that you know, New Zealand, if you come to New Zealand and you've got your full driver's license, you can often get you know, a driver's license like that. And I think it's actually now the same with gun laws. So basically I think I heard someone say, well, he had a gun license somewhere else and he was able to get a gun license pretty easily for that fact. So.
Well, no, it's the fact that he was allowed to use his international gun license to buy guns here. It wasn't the fact that we gave him a license. We've just got this obscure law that says if you've got one somewhere else, then you're allowed one here. I know Jacinda Ardern is pretty clear that gun laws are going to change.
Yeah. So
I wonder if they're going to look at the international licensing, but also there's been lots of talk about the semi-automatic
Well, I mean, I don't want to bet my life on this fact, but I believe that all you need to do is have your license registered, and if you've got more than one gun, not all of those guns have been individually registered. So there's a database of license owners, but no data available about how many individual guns and what they are but for each owner, which is surprising and probably something that needs to change, and I'm assuming they should.
So hold on, you're saying that we don't actually have to register the guns to people? I just need a user license.
That's what I saw, scrolling through social media, is that is the way our gun laws are set up. And I would hope that changes if it's true. So
I would also back that by actually going one step further by my history, knowing that there's such things as, having guns in the family, but then, who are they registered to? It drops off after a while and they're not actually registered to anyone, and then they're just this extra gun. So do we need to also think about making sure that we keep up to date with what is happening with these guns? Are they continuously registered?
And approved secondary selling, so if you're selling them second hand, you should definitely have that through an approved service or some central database, so that I can't just sell my guns to my mate and then he's just got those. I mean, I don't know. There's some changes.
I think so, yeah.
It sounds to me, guys, like we keep a better eye on people's credit rating than we do on their guns.
I saw some a tweet that really,
I don't mean to laugh, but
Well, I saw a tweet about the ease at which our New Zealand police were able to monitor the activists in the Uruweras in the middle of the New Zealand, in this North Island. They were putting cameras in the remote bush, but we had somebody in Christchurch City, obviously very radicalised and
locked and loaded.
Yeah, ready to go, and he slipped right through. I think the attention of our security services is pointed in the wrong direction, and it's a point made by a lot of people online, is that we're looking at the wrong people too closely, and some groups are just being left alone.
Alright guys, the next question I've got, and I'll go first because this is pretty heavy. Are we a racist country? Well, purely on the basis of what happened over the weekend for me, I don't think so. I think the media is making mincemeat out of the situation. So I can accept that this person was a white supremacist. I can accept that if they're stating that as fact. But the nature of it, the attack that occurred, was not a race-based one. It was a religious one. So he went into a mosque where Muslim is not a race, it's a religion, where Muslims were, and he shot them. So I don't accept this thing that we've got a white supremacy problem in New Zealand. I don't even necessarily believe in racism as a concept, so that's my bias, right? And that's pretty fresh coming from a brown dude. But what I do believe in, and I said this on Twitter, is I believe in good and evil. So there are good people and there are evil people, and the act that was undertaken by this young boy, let's call it for what it is, he was a boy, 22 years old, what was an evil, heinous, deplorable act. But it really boils down nothing more, for me, it boils down to nothing more than good and evil. Thoughts?
That's a big one. That's a lot to tackle in one go. Interesting to hear you don't believe in racism as a concept.
I don't believe in racism.
And when somebody unfairly targets you, you don't believe it's to do with your race.
I believe it's because they've got problems. I believe they, particularly if it's another dude, a man, I believe it's because they haven't learned to understand their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't learned to appreciate what it means to be a man. I feel like masculinity has got lost, and you're probably sitting there thinking, what has masculinity got to do with racism? But hate is not a masculine trait. Protecting one's family and friends is the masculine bit. So if you are a person that hates, particularly if you are a man, you lack masculinity.
Yeah,
pure and simple.
Yeah, I see hate, anger as weak characteristics.
Yeah.
And any outward projected emotion or act in the name of hate or anger as them not wanting to address the original problem, which is the hate and anger inside them.
What is inside them is fear.
Exactly.
Right. So that's what they're dealing with. They're dealing with the fear of the situation. They're dealing with the fear of not understanding themselves. And we're hearing from Porndoc 420 that says holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yep, fair point. There is no way that you personally hating somebody else is going to affect their life unless you act out on that. Yeah, I mean, you should always practice love and compassion, and then you'll both prosper. But hating somebody else is not going to do any lasting damage.
And hate. Oh, sorry, Hannah, you go ahead.
A big thing that I was going to say is when you're asking about racism, and I actually agree with you that I don't agree with anything such as racism, but I believe that there are evil people. And one thing that I can say that I learnt, and I think Jade learnt, when we were in Japan last year in February, a big thing that their culture, Japanese culture, is they don't like it if you're different. Now, yeah. I think that is a lot of the things that we see with racism. A person gets insecure and doesn't know what to do if a person is different from them. Different culture, different race. They could be, if they have feelings that they're insecure about themselves around this person, then it's, part of another culture that they actually see all wrong. So what do we think that that's racism? That people are being racist towards each other because they don't like different from each other? So
we've got a comment here from N7 Harkin saying, why does this stream sound so official? There are a few reasons for that. One is we have really awesome opinions, and the other is I have a really awesome rig. So that's what that is about.
And what we're talking about is there's a lot of somber news gone down here in New Zealand, but we're all about positivity, so hey.
Oh, I just lost my point as well. I was going to move on to the next point. So, where do we go from here? I mean, we talked about the gun laws. That's obvious. We want them to change. And we actually have a world leader that's wanting them to change. So, I'm sort of resting in the fact that we can sort of park that now that's been dealt with. But what else?
I would like to tackle the internet. And that statement right there is a pretty big and broad one. But the internet... if you have followed any of the details about the heinous act that went down on Friday, is that this guy spent his life online. He was covered as guns and ammunition and memes. I mean, the mention of PewDiePie at the start of the stream. This guy was catering to an audience that lived online. And what we've seen, and is a massive part of culture these days, they call it cancel culture. You're seeing people getting excluded from Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, all of these online platforms because of their controversial views, and obviously sometimes they're quite harmful in what they're saying. But what we've been doing is pushing these people into the darkness. They're hiding in places in the internet that are harder to contact, harder to patrol, harder to monitor, and they are basically living in a space where normal people can't reach out to them and say, hey, come on, like, your views aren't that accepted by everybody else. And so they feed off each other, and I think that's probably the next thing that we should tackle as a government, as a country, as the internet, which is tough, but we need to figure out a way for these people with these deemed controversial or not common views to be able to express that, and then for people to convince them down from the ledge that these things are, should be taken in moderation, and you shouldn't be thinking so extreme.
I've got a couple of points I want to make before we come to Harkin. But the one is the problem around ideology. So Harkin kind of touches on this. They say, where is the line though? What is funny and what is too much? I tend to dabble in that question myself in terms of free speech. Now, I absolutely denounce anybody that would cause harm to any human being. But when do someone's ideas become too much? Like that's the big debate that we need to have, because I agree this person was extreme, but also the other point I wanted to make is that, okay, first of all, I never read the manifesto. I made a point of not reading it, and I sure as hell did not see the live stream. And if any of you there are sitting with a link or a copy of the video file, it is now illegal in, it was always illegal in New Zealand to watch material of that nature, so please do not post clips here. Do not watch it yourself. You could get in really big trouble. But what my point is, I understand that from people that have analysed the manifesto, that this kid didn't even understand what his ideals were. So you've got the problem of respecting someone's ideology versus the fact that he didn't even know what his ideology was.
Yeah. What it just makes me think when you're talking about tackling the internet, big conversation that's been going on is Twitter and their policy on banning people. And, they're banning people who have got clear views that they don't agree with, and
mostly conservatives have been banned from Twitter.
Mostly conservatives. But then what about those people who are not too sure, who could be not too sure how to express or explain, and they're the people that really should not be heard and acknowledged or educated on those things. So, and how can a private company be making those decisions? How can we be influencing change?
Yeah, so much of the internet is controlled by private companies. Everybody hangs out on websites owned by companies around the world. No government really owns the internet besides the connections coming in and out of their country. It's probably going to take a global approach.
Yeah.
And it's going to be impossible to provide a safe space online without reducing people's freedom of speech. People should be able to express stupid or hateful ideas, and then for people to call them out on it. Yes. But then also you want to protect people's feelings, and preventing them from being just damaged by constant streams of pointless hate just for the point of hating.
So I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast recently, where he was speaking with executives from Twitter, and it was a long conversation, and there's no way that I can recall the whole thing, but it's sort of like what it came down to is they admitted that Twitter was not a platform for free speech, because in essence free speech goes as far as I can shout as loud as I want and prevent you from being heard, but as long as I don't lay a finger on you, we're still both exchanging free speech. It can become that sort of vicious and that energetic, but that's still by the Constitution in America anyway, because we actually have no constitutional right to free speech. That's still considered free speech. So then begs the question, should these social media platforms even consider the concept of free speech? It's their platform. They should be able to do what they want.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that's been brought up by a few commentators
Yeah.
online, is that in the end, they are corporations. It's their website, their platform. Why should they have to cater to other people's feelings and their users' feelings? You know, like, if you're not paying for it, you're the product. It's what they say about Facebook. Your membership is free because they're using you to put ads in front of you. So if you're not paying for it, you have almost no say in how it should operate.
That's a good way of putting it.
Simon, like, this is gonna sound like a put you on the spot kind of thing, but we did talk about this before we went on. What does it feel like to be a white male right now?
It feels bizarre. I feel like ashamed that somebody who shares this similar physical characteristics as myself could do something like this. I wish I could jump into somebody else's skin just so that I don't have to be associated with this guy and these people and these groups that are so hate-filled. I hope that people like myself can stand up and say that we are the majority, we are the ones who are empathetic, we love our brothers and sisters of varying races or religions or sexual interests. I love everybody, I love humans, and
you embrace diversity.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. To sum it up, yeah, diversity is power. If we're all the same, then we have all the same weaknesses.
I don't know who this is directed to, but N7 Harkin says, have you done anything wrong? I think that might be directed at
me?
you. Yeah.
Not recently. I didn't speed on my way to Jade's place at the White Lad, thank you. No, and in the context of this act that went down on Friday, I haven't done anything wrong, but still, as somebody, like I said, as I share the same physical characteristics, we're part of the problem, or we're part of the solution now, I suppose, is that we have to stand up and be louder than the voices that have been heard currently.
But let me just check for the record though, you denounce any form of violence, yes?
Yes, correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You as well, Hannah?
Oh,
Yeah.
completely.
Yep.
And I think, for those viewers who probably don't know us, I am proud to say that I did before Friday, and was proud to say that I'm from New Zealand. So those people might not actually realise where we're from and what happened.
N7 Harkin says you are all you are all
Equally not part of the problem,
Yeah.
regardless of skin colour or gender. Thank you for the support then.
That's
I appreciate
that's
that.
really supportive.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very, very much, because I'd be lying if I didn't say, I was thinking what could we as a country have done. I mean, I'm not the Prime Minister, I'm not part of government,
No.
but honestly I was racking my brain about that, because we pride ourselves on being like super chill as a country. Like we have drugs and domestic violence and a little bit of suicide like any other country, but we're fairly chill in terms of the crime stats.
Yeah.
Exactly. You ask people where they would want to be in the world ideally if money or circumstances weren't a problem. Lots of people say New Zealand. Where do people go when Donald Trump gets elected? Everyone says they're heading to New Zealand, regardless of actually if they follow through or not. New Zealand is heralded as this paradise. You see reports of people putting underground bunkers in our grounds in case of Armageddon. everyone described this place as paradise, and it's the last place you would think that horrible acts like this would happen. But perhaps that's the reason they came here, was to send a message that nowhere is safe. That's what they want. They want fear in everybody's everyday lives, and we've got to fight hard to spread love and to make sure that fear doesn't ruin our way of living, as Simon Bridges says, the Kiwi way of life.
Oh, I hate that guy, but anyway, no, I mean that's what I try to do on all my platforms, Simon. I mean, a couple of my posts recently have been a little more dicey. You know, I did compare able-bodied people to servants.
I saw that and I laughed. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, that's good.
You got it.
Yeah, of course. Like that's the point, to kind of say things that stand out, I suppose. But
some people really didn't, did they?
Too many people take things at face value and like to be reactionary in their response.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
How could you say that, Jade?
People like to have an opinion. People want their opinion validated, and speaking out against something is the easiest way for your opinion to feel valid. So regardless of how serious somebody's comment is, people always like to be the opposition. I suppose that's,
or
easy
just
to do.
prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like, get power over you to say you are wrong.
Get wrecked.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the fact that you know, I think the media are having a field day with this, and not in a good way. I feel like they're misconstruing some of the facts around what happened. Right, we talked about the white supremacist thing, but you've got to remember, we need to differentiate. This was actually a religious attack by a white supremacist.
Exactly.
This wasn't a racist attack. I mean, as someone who's very close to the Islamic community myself, you can't say Muslim as if it's a race.
No.
It's just not, because you can have white Muslims, you can have Muslims of all cultures.
Sonny Bill Williams, a prominent athlete from New Zealand and Australia, is a Muslim, and why he wasn't part of the attack, but he shouldn't be considered any less of a Muslim because of his skin colour or the way he carries himself.
No, you're exactly right.
And I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about is the optics of our Prime Minister wearing a burqa. Now, again, I've been studying the teachings of Islam for a while, and there's just so many things that are wrong with that image.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she's got plenty of people around her who she can consult with about following the principles of Islam, or I think it outweighs those rules when she shows support and solidarity in adopting the headdress. I mean, I think it's the message and the symbol it portrays is more powerful than the rules of the religion she's breaking.
I can meet you in the middle on that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Has Simon changed your mind?
No, I've got certain feelings, but I'm willing to be civil on this because I do see his point.
Yeah, it's a good point. Because I was definitely feeling like you, and I think she could have shown her solidarity and
You
her,
might want to lean in. People can't
her
see you, mate.
appreciation.
Not that far, but
her appreciation in other ways, but that's what she did, and she's done it now, and
I'll do you a favour, eh? I'll give you
She
some
reacted.
more. There we go.
she reacted in the best way
We can lean
possible.
in then.
So yeah.
So it's just. Are you guys scared to walk around now, though? And I'm being really authentic in that question.
Well, it's probably too early to say, with the facts of everything still coming to light. Everybody talks about the possibility of revenge or attacks because of the one that happened in Christchurch. I still feel safe in New Zealand. I still feel like this is my home. I rely on the government and the agencies to protect us, and obviously it's not always possible to get everybody before they commit acts that they intend to, but right now I feel safe enough to keep my life normal, as they would say. I can't speak for everybody. New Zealanders are so diverse and everybody responds to tragedies and events differently, but I aim to make people feel as safe as possible by continuing my daily life.
I had to take the train on Saturday, and as illogical as it may have sounded, I didn't feel particularly great when I was sitting on the train.
I think through all our understandings of the world and what goes around the world and what can happen on trains, you know, it just made us think, well, what if, you know, I feel very safe in New Zealand, but right now it's like, what could happen? And I'm kind of like waiting to see what could unfold and to learn more. Was it just this guy, or were there more? What do people think?
N7 Harkin says, a bit of a long comment. I might switch to the other one. You guys are right, but just don't self-blame too much, eh? Especially you. Sorry, don't know your name. The white guy, Simon.
Call me the white guy.
Far more likely to self-blame and ultimately commit suicide. So feel sadness for the terrible event which took place, but don't feel like you're part of the problem or try to self-blame. You are not to blame. And actually, Simon, we are here for you too as well, man.
Thanks, Jade. Appreciate it. And thank you, Harkin, for the message. It's very easy to get caught up in the emotions of an event, and thank you for putting it so plainly. That we aren't the ones who caused this. And if you see me swaying back and forth, I'm just trying to read the chat past the microphone. I'm not inebriated on a Monday evening.
Yeah.
Promise.
Well, even if you were, freedom of autonomy and all that.
Exactly.
But I guess what we haven't said is our thoughts and prayers, without trying to sound like a president. Really our hearts go out to the families and the individuals that have been affected by this, and we really take to heart the loss. Like our Prime Minister said, they are us. I think, as much as I may disagree with her on a lot of things, to that I agree with her on.
Exactly.
They are us.
New Zealand is so diverse. Nobody has ultimate claim to this land.
Well, there is one group.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is like, they weren't there since the start of time. They turned up. I'm part Māori. I'm saying this as a part Māori.
You look so Māori right now.
Yeah, well, looks can be deceiving.
Yeah.
But
yes, exactly. That's exactly what.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. People just don't know by looking.
Yeah, exactly.
We do it all by that initial scan.
And we have so many different cultures. We live in so many different situations now. And you can't take people and judge them by their appearance. No, because we're all individuals. And I guess that's one thing, we're hoping that the gun laws, our Prime Minister is pretty certain that the gun laws are going to change, but...
Oh, she's not just certain, she said they are going to change.
The gun laws are going to change, but maybe it's a wake-up call for what New Zealand can do is actually understand, spread the love. It's not a short-term thing, it's a long-term thing, and understanding each other every day, we don't need to segregate each other.
So, N7 Harkin says, good on you all, rock on Musketeers. And Finches says, hey, And Fazanui says, hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Ants Venture says, even Winston wants to change the gun laws. I knew he would.
Yeah.
I knew he'd be in on that. But Ant's really interested in you know how you're feeling post the weekend. Be really interested in any insights or feedback that you might have. What is the situation on the ground in Palmerston North? So Ants is a colleague of mine on the National Leadership Group for Enabling Good Lives, and she's based inside the Mana Whakaha situation. She lives around there.
Oh, nice.
She's amazing. We work together, so that's cool.
Pretty shaken. It's been a wild weekend. The mosque has been absolutely flooded. I hope you mean in a good way. Like the mosque I drove past this afternoon. Just flowers everywhere, and 4 armed guards. And like you said, a juxtaposition of realities.
That's right. The love and support that flowers represent with the eerily authoritative appearance of police, but hopefully it does the right thing in providing assurance for the people who are going into that mosque to practice their religion, feel safe to be in there, because that's all everybody wants at the end of the day, is to feel safe doing whatever it is they want to do.
Ant says flooded with flowers, people, cards and photos. N7 Harkin says, by the way, do we know how that guy got the guns? Were they legally bought or something? I believe they were. I believe they were bought legit with an overseas gun license. And says, yeah, we have a lot more police on the ground throughout Palmy, We have quite a large Muslim community, I think she's trying to say.
I definitely saw an elevated police presence in the CBD on my way here.
Are you kidding? Just walking around.
Well, there was just a couple of policemen parked up at key intersections, which you never really see.
Yeah.
So New Zealand is on high alert.
I mean, here's something, if you don't mind me driving discussion, Jade.
Go. You be the captain for a bit.
Sure. I mean, as I followed the situation on Friday unraveling, I noticed a difference in some news medias in how quick they were to present something as fact or just wanting to be the first to the point.
You got it.
I don't want to sound biased in the news sources that you visit, but Radio NZ were quite markedly a few points behind everybody else, but looked to be a lot more sure in the way they were describing things. It wasn't a source says or reportedly or allegedly.
Yeah,
you know,
point.
But it gets to critical mass where they're falling behind what is considered the 8 ball. They're not on the pulse, and places like News Hub and stuff, which are reporting on the minute, up to the go stuff, but not always accurate. And it sucks. It really sucks that we're so obsessed with being instantly up to play and wanting instant gratification that we're willing to risk journalistic integrity and to miss the point of what's actually happening. It really sucks, and it's just the way that the media is, because everything's based on clicks and ads now. No one's paying for subscriptions that you have to get people on your website straight away and repeatedly, otherwise you're not making money. And I think it sucks, really.
I saw this one thing on Facebook that says don't get too caught up in the facts. Well, I think the facts are all that we have, and I think I said this at the top of the stream, but just to say for the new people that have come in, I think facts are very, very important right now. And you know, as much as I'm not necessarily a Trump guy, I'm starting to get a sense, you know, reflecting what you're saying, Simon, of how easily things can turn into fake news.
Oh yeah, I mean, both sides of the agenda are manipulating the true scenario to fit what they think their readers want. it is very rare that you find two news sources with the exact same description of an event, which is sad, really. And as Ant said, the way media hypes things up, they don't just report it how it is. They add in adjectives and superlatives and things to make you feel your emotions more strongly. And it's, I don't know how we can address it. It doesn't really seem like an easy scenario to fix. But it's something I've noticed happen with a lot of events around the world that doesn't seem to change.
My bit on this is I was talking to my Uber driver on the way back home, and he sort of said, I've heard 3 different ages of this young man. I've been able to confirm that he is 22, but my driver coming back into the city from Mount Roskill said, I've heard 3 different ages.
Yeah, and on Friday afternoon there was 1 shooter, 3 shooters, bombs all over the city. Things were popping up before they were confirmed. The guy was still on the loose, and there was new things popping up every minute almost of what was unfolding, and it was terrible.
I mean, Ant has just made this really real for us. She has said a couple of my friends have had extended family members killed or injured.
To make it a bit further real, Jade, one of our colleagues had friends who were inside there as well, who had lost sons and their fathers as well. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Ants, for your friends and the loss they've been through, but it is quite hard to find somebody who isn't touched by this, at least. It's such a horrible act that affected so many people, and you have to kind of almost go looking for somebody who wasn't involved. As New Zealand is such a small place, I feel like we're all got a stake in this. I saw a tweet, that if you change the New Zealand population to the population of the US, it's like over 3,000 people dying in one event. It's just immense in the scale of people to population.
Yeah, and I don't want to, I don't want to make a thing out of this, but is it really helpful to use statistics in that way?
I mean, I don't know. It definitely gets the attention of people who aren't from New Zealand, but we don't necessarily need them to have a constructive conversation. And of course, New Zealand is famous for per capita bragging, but this is not something that we should be bragging about. And as Ant said in the chat, just quickly, it is nice to meet you too. One day you'll have to come on the stream.
Ant has been on the stream quite a bit. She has her own stream. I would recommend that you check her out, give her a follow.
I think I follow your Facebook page. Definitely do.
Yeah. She's awesome, and she's very close to Hannah and I. We help her out with business stuff and things like that.
Awesome. Not sat last, but yeah.
Starting again next week with the streams.
Awesome.
So Ant does this annual holiday thing in February. She basically pisses off. And I think it's amazing because I never get any time off. But she basically disappears for like 2 or 3 weeks.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I love going bush. If that's where she went.
Yeah, this time she went to the East Coast, I think. So she tackled the East Coast, and she's got 100 gigs of photos and other video content on her drive.
On the grind, it seems. On the content grind.
She pops out content like nobody's business, and I feel kind of butthurt about it because I was the one that got her in it, and like she's creaming me like nothing. But yeah.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, though, Jade. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you very much. I'm just thinking though. What's next? What's next? I mean, this guy goes to jail. So what?
Exactly. What difference will it make to Christchurch, to New Zealand, or to the world? What I suppose in laws may change, but laws don't force people's ideologies to change. And you were talking about the guns and how they got the guns. I think that's the last thing we should be talking about. It should be, how do these ideologies get fostered, get promoted, get encouraged, where the point where somebody has so much passion for this problem that they think they should solve. And I think that's where we should concentrate the discussion, is we should pull out the weeds of online discussion where people are having horrible discussions.
And I guess, like, just to touch on the counterfactual on the other side, though, like, I remember looking at Donald Trump's tweet of support to New Zealand, and the amount of replies that were just like, fuck off, we don't need you, you're a white supremacist, all of this. Like, when I read the tweet, like, it wasn't his normal, what I would say, fuckity sort of tweet. It was just like,
the language, the tone was different.
Yeah, it was like, hey, like, literally, if you need anything, the US will deploy. And just the way people responded to that was...
Well, to counter your point, I think it was quite a hollow statement. As some, I mean, he...
right in the guts.
Yeah. He openly advocated for the complete ban on Muslim and Middle Eastern immigration to that country. To exclude somebody from your country based on their religion is against human rights. You can definitely have policies around controlling who comes into your country. That's your right as a country with a border, but to be so discriminating against a group of people like that is something that I reckon excludes you from participating in some discussions about events like this.
We're probably getting to a place where I almost feel underqualified to keep going with that bit of the conversation. But if we've got any US citizens or people from the States in the chat, we'd really appreciate your opinion on the extreme vetting that occurred in the US. I guess if I throw out an idea, this is not at all suggesting my alignment or anything, but we never had a 9/11, eh?
Nah.
So I guess if you're a country with a 9/11 and you're lining up the statement of facts, it was caused by Muslim extremists. Now granted, they're like 0.001% of the Muslim population. I can absolutely meet you there, and I am so, like, discrimination isn't even in my vocabulary. But, you know, what was Donald Trump just thinking about the security? Because he's a business guy. Like, what does he stand to gain from banning like 8 countries? Like, I don't understand it.
The support of the people who voted him into power, most primarily, I would suppose. But without getting too deep into global and US politics, what happened before 9/11 in terms of America's influence in the Middle East definitely is a big precursor to why that 9/11 event happened. I have not studied the Gulf War and America's involvement in the Middle Eastern countries well enough to have a proper opinion, but I know for a fact that possibly if the US had never entered the Middle East, perhaps 9/11 never happened.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
So some deep content for your Monday. Thank you for tuning in, for going deep into a myriad of topics, from gun control to global politics and immigration and borders.
To be honest, I didn't know where this was going to go, but the conversation is flowing so well.
For sure.
Like, we haven't had guests before, so I wasn't sure what the dynamic was going to be like, but this is crazy cool. We should do this again.
You know
Definitely.
one thing that you haven't done?
What?
Who is Simon?
I didn't know whether he'd want to go all into this sort of expose, so I wasn't really going to put him out there like that. But do you want to talk about who you are? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I can definitely touch on who I am. So I am one of Jade's work colleagues from Manuanui. I joined that organisation in February of last year.
So way before me.
Yeah, I'm part of the IT team, and I was specifically brought on to help manage a project of launching a recruitment website for the disabled people that we support called Employ. I still manage that website. I'm part of a few other projects, like Manuinui's efforts to participate in the system transformation. So I spend my time trying to suck information out of Jade as he can.
The bits that aren't classified.
Exactly, yeah. All his...
We got a sub. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, James, for the tier 1 sub. This is 8 months on an 8-month streak. She's been
Whoa!
subbing for 8 months straight. How can that be possible? We haven't been here for 3 months.
That's
Love it, Ants.
the support we love.
8 months. USA. USA.
Gotta love the Simpsons.
Yeah, I suppose back to my background, I've never really considered participating in the disability sector until I was offered this job. Once I did my digging in Manui's background and the way it all works in New Zealand, I felt compelled to take the job. I knew that I would enjoy the work. I knew that I could make a positive difference. And those were the two things I was looking for in a job, really, was to enjoy my work and make a positive difference. And I believe I am doing that,
Nice.
and will continue to do that. Yeah.
What is your biggest woke moment about disability?
Biggest woke moment.
Yeah, like what have you been really turned on to? Like,
Okay.
wow, I didn't know that was.
You'll
the
like
thing.
this one because
Okay.
this is something that you quite a big what's the word I want to say, proponent of, and that is I've lost the word now.
Describe it, and then it might come to you.
Yes, so the fact that the disability is not the issue of the person, but it is the issue of society's inability.
Social
to-
model, baby.
That's the one.
Social model.
That when I was introduced to that, it was just like I was like, whoa, that's so true, and I felt horrible for never considering it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it just makes sense. Cater to everybody in your society, and then everybody
There is
benefits.
no disability.
Yeah, and I've looked at, places that have showrooms of accessible bedrooms and kitchens, and I think, I would love this. I would love for my cabinets to come down to my level when I'm old and frail, or in the chance that I end up in an accident or something happens to me. I mean, I would love for my home to have massively wide corridors
Yeah.
and doors that aren't an
Lifts,
issue. Yeah, exactly.
stair
Because
climbers.
I would hate for somebody to be a part of my life and then say, I can't come to your home. Like, that would suck. It would really suck, like I want my home to be as welcoming to everybody that I want in my life as possible.
Thank you.
Do you want a fact around that? Because I've got a fact for you.
Yeah, I love facts because facts don't care about your opinion.
2% of New Zealand properties are accessible.
And what are the percentage of disabled people in New Zealand, Jade?
25.
I think there's a bit of a disparity in those percentages.
Yeah, there's a massive disparity, and I guess now we're going to get really real. I didn't know I was going to go here tonight, but I am. The disability support system, as far as traditional services, I feel has been the biggest thing to slow progress for our people now. Because the narrative is, we'll take care of your family member.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
The difference with IF and personal budgets is that, you're still in your community. You're still with your family. You're still with your friends.
Yeah. And I think what we should do to add on to the way IF and personal budgets are changing things is for communities to be enabled to provide informal support from the government. Government should not delegate that responsibility to the community.
That's it.
But I think people feel valued when they have a valuable place in their community, and it won't be changed by the individual saying, hey, I live in your neighborhood. It is going to be changed from the government saying, hey, you should include everybody in your neighborhood and they should all participate and you should make them feel welcome.
I guess the way I look at disability support is actually quite simplistic, even though I operate at a certain level. It's sort of like what we're saying right now is that even though you're in a community, somebody else needs to take care of you, as you just. We have a new follower. That's what they called. It's been so long. But Bagel, thank you so much for the follow.
Thank you.
We really appreciate that.
And Ant says universal design for the win.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's what I was just trying to say. It's thanks.
So just reflecting what you said about services taking care of the problem. Yes. But I like to think of disability support this way. If somebody's hungry and they want a sandwich, I'm not gonna say you should probably go get a needs assessment and then find out what sandwich and then how big your sandwich should be. I am just gonna go get them a sandwich. I think communities need to work more collaboratively and just together.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we don't. What we're saying is that we require disabled people to be a part of a system, which I don't necessarily agree with.
And can I just fact check you one thing? You may know this. So the 2% of accessible houses in New Zealand, you're not saying all those properties are occupied by individuals with disabilities?
What I'm saying is that within that 2%, they could actually be owned by services, so they're not even on the free market.
Yeah.
So that's somewhat worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is the accessible standard? I'm assuming not all 2% of that have tracks running through the corridors and have...
Oh, hell no.
Like,
you're talking about tracks? That's like...
Yeah.
You have to be PewDiePie disabled to have tracks in your house.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, bro.
No, exactly. So it's... I mean, how many times have you gone to a cafe or somewhere and it's said it's completely accessible, and then you turn up and there's stairs in the way or something like that? You know, people People like to put the tag accessible on their business because it makes them seem cool or, you know, socially woke. But
Can I actually share a story? Can I actually share a story about
Please.
us?
This is a free forum.
visual alarms, good point.
So, me and Jade were actually just trying to get a milk tea one day, and we found this new place, and there was 3 stairs to the front door, and we were like, and then we looked to the left, and then there is the accessible sign, and I kind of said, what? So I walked inside and I said, excuse me, whereabouts is your access for, where's your accessible access? And they said, no. And she then came outside and I said, excuse me, what's this? And she said, no. And then she finally said to us, oh, I'll go round. And what we had to go around is go halfway down the street, go around through another building, and then come through the back way of the kitchen. And they had to move about 20 boxes that were covering that door. So obviously not good for fire safety, but they had to move 20 boxes, and then they found it a hassle when we had to go because they'd put the boxes back. They're like, what were you expecting? It's like, oh, you can't say that you're accessible if you're going to have access like that.
And I guess, you know, for me to share a story, Simon, you know, I think I told you this one, but, you know, to this day, I still get people coming up to me, patting me on the shoulder, or even my head, you know, just no personal boundaries whatsoever. And they'll say, "Geez, mate, so good that you're outside, eh?" And it's sort of like,
How do you address that? Like,
it's sort of like, if you had any idea of the stuff that I was involved in, you know, me being outside is the least of my worries.
exactly. This is you taking it easy.
How do I address it? It's sort of like, to be honest with you, I don't, because it comes down to how much energy do I want to invest. Like, I could go on a social justice teaching lesson with this person, but actually I'm not getting paid to do that.
No.
So I don't do it.
And as long as it doesn't stay with you, and you can let that comment stay in the past where it happened, and that, I mean, that's the only time when you would address it, if it would help you to move past it. But if you can just brush that, excuse the pun, if you can just brush that off, then, then just leave them to their ignorance.
Yeah. So we got a couple of comments here. Anne says, when I was studying in 2016, our disability support coordinator's office had a small single step to get a flat entrance. I had to go through the car park, through a maze of corridors, then push a button to tell somebody to let me in. This is the disability support coordinator's office.
That's not right.
Jeez Louise.
Ironic, eh?
But social model, man, I got woke when I realized that as well. You know, for me that's changed everything. Like, even referring to something as a disability issue does not make sense when you consider the social model.
No, exactly. When you have a broader perspective in abilities across the world, it's just a human issue. It might be more important to some people than other, but it is still a human issue. And I suppose you can frame every issue as a human issue, but with disability it's a bit easier, I think, because it shouldn't be cordoned off to just that small community. Well, not even small, I suppose. But
have you found during this period of wokeness that you go around identifying barriers now?
Oh yeah, I like every time I see like for example you just talked about, every time I see an accessible sign, I put it to the test and make sure that if I was in a wheelchair or had some sort of disability, that I could probably still use that place. I've not gone to the point of calling people out and going out of my way in terms of, hey, your place isn't accessible.
Grabbing them by the collar, saying, "What is this, bro?"
Yeah, smooth out your steps. But no, I mean, I saw Ants mentioned visual alarms. Our workplace, if we had somebody who was deaf, there's no way of them knowing that we're leaving the building because of a fire until they realise they're the last one left. I mean, when I was in university was when I first was exposed to visual alarms, and I thought, whoa, that's pretty smart and feels like should be common sense in a lot of places.
A couple of accessible campgrounds or rooms, they aren't really accessible. I have lost count. That a couple that you've seen labelled as accessible campgrounds and hotel rooms. Yeah, me too. We've had some disasters,
I've always had to ask,
me too.
and it's got to the stage in certain places I've actually had to ask the lady to get out a ruler and measure things for me, because she's like, oh, you know, it's like not like this, and I'm like, well, actually, how wide is it? And in the end, she managed to get photos and managed to get measurements, and just proving to her, I kind of said, well, that's not really accessible. It will work for now, but you need to know that that's not really going to be great going forward.
It can be a bit demoralising, and I guess I want to shift the tone of the stream really quickly. I was having a chat to a colleague of mine that I can't mention their name because they wouldn't want to, but we were talking about stats last night, and one of the things you brought up is that in the UK, because of the equivalent to DSS, I think it's the NHS, because of recent cuts of several $1 million or $1 billion, there have been 100 suicides.
Wow.
Of disabled people in the UK in a relatively short time period recently. So I guess my message around that would be, certain circumstances can be demoralizing, but life is too great and important to just give up on because of a staircase.
Exactly. And humans are such social creatures that the right support in other people around you can get you through a lot of circumstances where some people would think that giving up is their only option.
Yeah.
So if you are ever feeling in a situation where things are looking dark, the people around you are the most vital tool to your survival.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that.
And I think that's why I make content as well, because I'm not the coolest or most popular disability content creator ever. I'd never want to suggest that, but I guess the reason why I create content is I want to be able to connect with people. I want to be able to show people that certain things are possible, even if you don't necessarily believe it yourself. I don't necessarily want to be an inspiration, but I want to be a tool to support the able-bodied community to understand a more realistic perspective of what being disabled means. We're not all Paralympians, and we're not all these stories of completely overcoming our disability with a wonder drug. There are people that live with disabilities day to day that do it just fine. Like, disability is not something to be eliminated or gotten rid of.
No, it's to be accommodated, I suppose, is the right word to put it, and to make sure that it isn't restricting them from enjoying life, to put it shortly.
And says I really struggle with being called inspirational, and
inspiration porn is a horrible thing, and it definitely was very popular on social media for a while, and I think people are kind of cottoning on to the fact that it's just not helpful to the people that you think it's supposed to be helping. The only people who benefit from it are the ones that share it and get lots of likes on their social media.
And I guess also, as far as disability inspiration, it's all about the warm fuzzies. Warm fuzzies don't necessarily create change, though. No. It's sort of like, oh, that's nice, I feel good about myself. Oh, look at you and how much you're struggling. I feel amazing. And says, because I kind of understand why people look at what I do and why they call me that. But like you guys, I'm just doing what I love to do. And I mean, it's kind of hypocritical as well, because we are content creators. So we're obviously wanting to spread a message.
And you have value in your message.
And part of that message, I suppose, is to inspire, but not to be like inspiration porn. But like, I want people to look at my page and say, this guy is really real. Like,
that is the component that's important, is being real.
Yeah.
I want you to think about one thing, Ants, okay? Please. I want you to think, I'm not going to be inspiring because I'm getting out of bed, but you're going to be inspiring for the great knowledge you have, for actually how much love you give to others, and actually how hard you work for everybody. So I want you to look at that this year, okay? Because a lot of people find, yes, and I think people need to shift their understanding of inspiration, and they do think that, okay, I'll just help this person, I'll feel inspired by them. But no, they need to understand you and understand us.
I don't know how to say this. Can you help me say this, Simon?
Yeah.
Is it? How do you say that?
What, the last word?
The first one.
Oh. What? No.
Yeah, how do you say that? No.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. That was from Ants.
Yeah, kinda. That's what that sounds like. Yeah, kinda. Not really sure. I'm gonna listen to that, but we'll see how we go. I know. No, it's by porn. Just inspirational in your own way.
Ants does say, "Pay me what I'm worth for my message." Lol. Exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
And that's something that disabled people really struggle with.
Yeah.
Being, well, I don't, but lots of other disabled people struggle with getting paid the right amount for their leverage and for their advice. It's really real.
And their labour.
Labour too, yeah. And says, "Nah, I just appreciate the thought." I think, yep. Yeah, cool. I miss what you said then. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's. I really like that you've just. It's made me feel really good, Simon. You just understanding universal design, because me and Jade think about it, and we were actually talking about it the other day. We're like, okay, if we get to have a house, this is what we'd do, and you totally said you'd go all out.
I'd go all out. Like I'd make it so a tetraplegic could stay at my house, because once you service that end, anybody can use it. So if you just say, okay, tetraplegic, then you're covered.
Exactly, yeah. And is there any modifications that a fully accessible home would have to have that would then exclude able-bodied people?
No.
Probably not, so, yeah.
No.
I wanted to talk to you about a thing in terms of inspiration and just being part of the community, Hannah. I got a bit of a hiding about what the what does Hannah actually do video, and you're a disabled woman in your own right that works for a disabled man.
Yeah.
And not so much in the comments on the videos, but people sort of said, that's weird, right? So what would your response be to that? Because that was last year and we haven't really addressed it.
Well, it's definitely not weird. I love working with you and for you.
Yeah.
And I say with you because actually you work with me in universal design, actually considering, hey, she can't see that, so I'm going to read comments out.
Yep.
Hey, I'm going to do that. Hey, she can't see that. And so we work together, and Jade's the captain of the ship, but I'm loving the ship, and I think some people don't quite understand, and they think, oh, disability. No, I think I really want to be somebody that people can look to, that say that people recognize that we as disabled people can help each other.
Yeah.
1, 2, we as disabled people can.
Is that we got reported?
No.
Yeah, what about it? What if we were?
How do we know once we're back up? Oh, you go to your dashboard.
Yeah,
there
we're
we
back. We're back.
Hey, guys.
Don't worry, we're back, and it wasn't even my rig, because I've had some mad issues with my rig. That was just a network issue. I hope you're still around. But Ants makes a very good point about the fact that the captain doesn't always steer. It's often the job of the first mate. And you really are the first mate.
I am.
First mate I ever had.
And And we just have so much fun. And, you know, it's not like a normal working situation, 9 to 5.
Definitely not.
It's like, okay, you having a bad day? Okay, sweet, have a bad day, work from home, okay, sure. Okay, can't do this, okay. And we just do amazing things together. And some people might have questioned, what does Hannah video do? Like, well, is that all Hannah does?
I think they read too much in the title. So a couple of people came to me and they said, it sounded like I was saying she doesn't do much. But it was, the whole premise of the video was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
To say that you help me a lot. You like, our working relationship, our friendship is like, you can't actually compare it to anything. So
I got it.
It's a very unique situation, I'm sure.
Yep. No, it is, and I'm grateful. And you know, which is to say, you know, if there's ever any feedback on any of my content, whether it be, you know, on the Jade Farrar show or the Facebook or the Instagram. I don't really go on Instagram anymore because it's full of strippers. But any of my content, please just let me know. I'm so willing to have a civil dialogue.
And if you want me back on the show for a regular guest spot,
thumbs up for Simon. Actually, in the chat right now, thumbs up for Simon. Let's see if you want him back, and we can definitely arrange it.
What I loved about Twitch, you know, 2018 was having conversations with you guys. Now, I know that...
There we go, we've got one.
Thumbs up! Simon might be coming back, guys.
Cool!
What were you saying, Hannah, sorry?
It was a bit of a parody on me saying, just love having conversations with you guys. Having conversations with you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
One stream I ended up saying it about 6 times.
I think it was more like 600.
Because there's so
I'm
many
loving
different...
this conversation. Like, yeah, it was just...
So many different people.
Like, we get it. You like talking to people.
Just good interaction from you guys, actually messaging in, and actually we're talking about so many different things, and I love getting different perspectives. That's why it's good to have Simon on. So
and said, someone asked me over on Facebook if I was getting free stuff everywhere I was sharing Where's and Ventures. Well, I want to know the answer to that question as well. On your trip, were you getting any free stuff or endorsements? Please tell me you were. Because, yeah, you were doing big promos of the places you were visiting.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, did we want to do a bit of a roundup, a bit of a final thoughts before we ended the stream today?
Yeah.
Should we say ladies first?
Always.
Thank you. I'm actually feeling really good after this stream about actually what has gone on. It's been a really good chance to share and discuss the situation, and I feel kind of more at peace with the situation. It's not right what happened, but personally at peace. So it's good to know. It's always good to share.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah.
And we'll go to you, Simon.
Yeah, I like to ditto Hannah's thoughts about. I didn't think I was going to feel like this, but I do feel like a bit of an emotional weight has been kind of cast off my shoulders from being able to express how I feel.
Wow.
And I didn't think it was going to be like this, but it's been great. As somebody who didn't really think like I had a place in this discussion, based on who I am, but it felt good to put out a message of positivity and to discuss these points rationally, and to point towards some ways forward for everybody. And I'd just like to just reiterate the fact that we all need to practice more love, practice more empathy and understanding, and embrace diversity. If we're all different, we have different strengths, and that the more different we are, the less weaknesses we have in being the same. So thanks if you guys are listening. I appreciate you joining in the discussion, and it's been great.
Have you had fun, Simon?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yes, this is my first debut on Twitch. I've never been a part of anybody else's stream. A long time viewer. I've watched Jade stream for a while now.
You know this room from the other side.
Yeah, it's quite weird to be on the other side of the camera. Yeah, and it's been great for you guys to bring me into your world. Thank you for being your first in-house guest. It's a very prestigious honour.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's to your final thoughts, Jade.
Yeah. But before you come to me though, we're going back online on Thursday.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored, but did you want to drop the deets?
Yeah, I'd love a plug. So we as Manawanui workmates are doing a live stream to show off all of the cool features and bells and whistles that the Manawanui's web portal offers to our, as clients, an appropriate word to use?
Yep.
Yeah.
The people we support.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're available Thursday afternoon, what time are we starting?
5:30.
5:30. The link is on the Facebook event where you can share.
On the Manawanui page.
Yeah, and I'm sure we can share it out there for you guys. Please join in and ask some questions so that we don't have to run off our script.
Although I think we're doing fine. This
Yeah.
has been amazing energy. Just for me to round off, I want to say again, you know, my heart goes out to the families and people affected by what happened over the weekend. This will be a journey for New Zealand for some time to come. I'm nervous about the political tennis that's going to be played around us.
Yep.
And I also want to say that I don't want an event like this to be used as leverage to slow down the transformation. Although those two things seem unrelated, I'm really nervous about the possibility. So for anybody that's been watching me for a long time, maybe you're watching this on the after the show on demand. I'm still extremely committed to making sure that system transformation happens, that disabled people and their families have more choice, more control, and more autonomy over their lives. I'm so stoked to be back on Twitch. We kind of left rather abruptly in October, but Hannah and I have worked through a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we're communicating much better with the sector broadly. We have colleagues that we used to work with that we don't work with now, so just working through some of those tensions was really important. I have nothing but love and appreciation for the Twitch audience and everyone that follows me online, no matter what the platform is. And guys, for right now...
Can I just do one more thing, sir?
Sure.
We have to do one last thing. Guys,
Go
you think
ahead.
it's the worst thing in the world if your glasses breaks? I've got to give one shout out.
Oh, I promised that I would do a thing. Okay, so I had my glasses repaired after running over them in the weekend. This is a place called SOS Eyewear Services. They're based at 157 Stoddard Road, Mount Roskill. They are amazing. Their service is like ridiculously quick. I broke the arm clean off my glasses, and they fixed it within 10 minutes. And for whatever reason, they didn't even charge me. And it wasn't because I said I was going to do this.
No, I said this afterwards.
What they did do, because I said I was going to do this, is give me a free bottle of, what do you call that? Cleaning solution. So they did do that, full disclosure. But these guys are amazing. I couldn't believe the service and just wanted to let you know about them.
And you saw someone come in with basically...
broken in half. Glasses broken in half, and they're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Easy. So that
Easy
was-
website. No problem too big or too small for them.
So I've been throwing away all my glasses that have been breaking, and they could have fixed them. So it's cool to know about them.
So can I do it now?
Yeah,
Let's go for it.
And then try throw to Simon. See if he remembers the ending. that might actually be a bit awkward.
Let's go for it.
But anyway, guys, thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for being a part of the journey. Please stay awesome.
And see ya next time.
Close.
Close enough.
Close.